Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns, I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn through my website yarnaddict.co.uk. Welcome to another episode of the Confessions of a Yarn Addict podcast. Today I'm going to share what I was knitting in Norway, some other things I got up to in Norway, what's on my needles currently. I've got several finished projects to show you, what I bought in Norway in terms of yarn, a couple of clips from, or 3 clips from 3 yarn shops I visited while in Norway, and what I was knitting and got up to on my journey back from Norway. It is Thursday today and I'm hoping to film this, edit it and get it up on YouTube today. That's probably unlikely to happen. So it probably won't be up till Friday. Normally I release videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Well, every Thursday and every other Tuesday. But because I only got back from Norway on Tuesday, so 2 days ago, and yesterday I went to Pilates in the morning, and then we had to go out and run some errands for the rest of the day, so I didn't really work yesterday. So today's my first proper day of work after my holiday, so I don't think I'm going to be able to film this, edit it and upload it today. I'm going to try, but we'll see. So this podcast may be a day late, but that's okay. So as I said, I came back from Norway a couple of days ago. I hope you watched my video last week, I think it was, where I filmed the day I was traveling to Norway, and it was a bit of a travel vlog, and I was trying to finish knitting, or trying to knit this hat. I think I did actually show the hat finished when I got to Norway. I didn't finish it on the day I was traveling. Finished it the next day. I didn't wear it at all in Norway because it wasn't that cold. Probably one day when I went for a walk and it was like -7, but it wasn't windy, and I probably could have done with wearing it then, but I didn't. But yeah, it wasn't that cold, so I didn't wear it. But I like it, and if we get some really cold weather, it's nice to have a DK hat. So the yarn for that was I didn't keep the label. I binned that actually when I left. I forgot to kind of pack it when I was leaving, so I ended up binning it. But it's Orchideen Luxury Yarn Ultramarino DK, I think, in Barbie Girl. I think that's it. But if you want to see more about that and my trip to Norway and the knitting I did because I had a long day of travel, then do watch last week's video. I've got to say, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. And if you're already a subscriber and a returning viewer, thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming back, and if you're a new viewer, welcome. I hope you will stick around and subscribe. Okay, so let's look at what these 2 yarns became. These are Mario from Belinda Harris Reid. It's her own yarn. She's the owner of the Knitting Hotel, where I do a lot of teaching in Dawlish in Devon. She didn't dye it. It was dyed by For the Love of Yarn. I picked this up and I was there last time because I wanted some solid DK yarn. I didn't have anything in any colours I wanted to knit with. They're both solid, so I got those and I really like those. And that's what I got left. I haven't weighed them, so I don't know how much that is, but I was actually planned to make this a bit longer, but then I was like looking at it and I thought, I think it's long enough. So I'll take it off in a minute, but I wore this a lot in Norway. Before I went away, I was teaching a workshop on my Cloudberry cow and my Snowflake cow, and they are, I haven't got them here, they are knitted in 4-ply, but they're knitted double, so you have like 2 layers of fabric, and that's a lot of knitting and a little bit harder work. So I wanted a cowl that was a little bit easier, that I can use for workshops for people who want to learn color work, and that's a little bit easier. And my original plan was I charted it up to like here, and then my plan was to reverse it for the second half, but I thought that's going to be too big. So I just carried on with this diamond pattern and then did some chevrons at the top, cast on down here. I've mostly been wearing it like this way up because I'm thinking if I got makeup on, I don't get any makeup on this pale pink, partly because I need to photograph this for the pattern. So this will become a pattern. I need to finish writing it up and get it tech edited and then photograph it. So it's probably, hoping, I haven't spoken to my tech editor, but might be able to get it out at some point in February. Just depends on when I get the pattern finished and sent off to my tech editor and how busy she is. But I'm really happy with it. I'm teaching at the Knitting Hotel on Saturdays. I'm going to take it, show Belinda, and possibly might wear it on Saturday in the car. But it's really nice, and yeah, I quite enjoyed it. That's what the inside looks like. I always think it's fascinating to look at the inside of colour work. That's what it looks like. But I think it'll be a good cowl for workshops. I would probably ask people to knit the rib before they arrived at the workshop, otherwise they'd spend half the day knitting the rib. And it's a good project to practice colour work or learn standard colour work, because the pattern is relatively easy, not too difficult. And yeah, I like it. Very happy with it. Wore that a lot in Norway because my big brioche cowl, my big pink one that looked like that. This is the headband, which I talked about before I went to Norway. But the big brioche cowl was a little bit warm at times because it wasn't that cold while I was in Norway. So I did wear this a lot and I really, really like that. And I am going to write up the pattern, get that edited, and hopefully out this winter. Okay, so this is the sock segment. I have a lot to show you in terms of socks. So first let's look at the ones I have not knitted. So my mum knits a lot of socks, and normally she just does like a standard size, and they normally fit my daughters who've got slightly smaller feet than me, but they're too small for me. But she knitted these socks and she said, do these fit you, because they look a bit big? And I pulled them on and they fit me perfectly. These are knitted. I actually have some socks in the same yarn. It's I think it's a Norwegian brand called Viking. I can't remember. I actually have some socks in exactly the same color that I knitted to wear at Pilates. So these are socks. They got like a cable on the back. I'll show you this one because I can like flatten it out a bit. Got like a cable on the back. Leg is quite long, which I like. So these I thought would be great to wear for when I do Pilates, because I get really cold in the hall when we do Pilates. But yeah, they're really nice socks, and I love the colour, and I'm really pleased she knitted them for me. So yeah, like those. So that's the first pair of socks that I did not knit. I'm trying to make all of my talky bits in this a bit brief because there's a lot. And then I had these on the needles when I went to Norway. I think I'd finished the first sock and I was knitting the second sock. It was in my bag. Well, I only had hand luggage with me, so I had all my knitting with me. This was in my like backpack, so I could access it easily if I needed to, if I finished a hat on the way to Norway. When I got to Norway, I was first working on another project, and then I finished these, and it didn't take me long to finish them. So I've got the two pairs. I've only put one on the sock blocker. So these I knitted top down, following my creme brulee pattern, I think it is. But I made the heel flap a little bit shorter than normal just to try that out. I haven't actually worn these. I didn't want to wear them while I was in Norway because I wanted to film a bit about them before I wear them, so I haven't worn these yet, but I do like them. Stocking stitch, 30 rounds of rib, heel flap, toe, standard. The yarn is from Lottie Knits. Who's a British indie dyer, Lottie Knits, and it is Little Bird Sock, which is a high twist yarn. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and it has 365 meters per skein. And I don't know whether I had used some of this yarn to actually swatch for something else or used it for something else, because when I was knitting the second sock, as I got to the toe, as I got close to the toe, I was looking at the ball of yarn I had left, and I was like, I think I'm going to run out of yarn. I was really, really close to running out of yarn, and I was thinking, what can I do if I run out of yarn? I know I've got some other yarn from Lottie Knits in this same base in my stash, so I thought, well, I could wait till I get home and then just add that and do like a contrast toe on one of the socks. And I thought I could try and pick the rib and knit it shorter and use the rest of the yarn to finish the toe, but because it's knitted top down, that's not so easy. And I was thinking, if I do a contrast toe, do I unpick that toe and do a contrast toe on that one? I had all kinds of options going through my head, and then I ended up with like 4 meters left when I finished. So I was quite relieved because I did have enough yarn. But I don't know why I was so short of yarn, because these socks aren't any bigger than what I normally knit. So I'm not sure, but I may have used some of it for swatching before, I can't remember. but these I brought the yarn with me and I cast on while I was in Norway. I wasn't sure to take this yarn with me or not because all the local yarn shops where my parents live sell sock yarn, and I do quite often end up buying some sock yarn, so I wasn't sure about taking a second skein of sock yarn with me. But I do have a lot of sock yarn that I want to use, and this was a recent acquisition, so I wanted to use this. This is from the Yarn Badger. Let me just get the label out so I can tell you all the details. So this is from the Yarn Badger, who first time I bought from them. That's the Yarn Badger. It is Neon Steps. I thought it was called Neon Stripes, but Neon Steps, Superwash Merino Sparkle with 20% nylon. And it came as two 50-gram skeins. So I haven't actually checked to see whether they're knitting up identical. And then it had like a contrast, let me just get this out, a contrast ball of purple. So I had a contrast 20-gram, I guess, ball of purple for the heel and toe. So I knitted these from the toe up. So I did the toe in the purple, and then I knitted them. I put in a waste yarn for the heel, got to the top. I was going to do 100 rounds for the legs. I like that length. And I normally do 30 rounds of rib at the top. So I got to like 60 rounds of stocking stitch, and I was like, oh, I'm getting a bit bored. Maybe I only do 90 rounds. So I started the rib, and I did 30 rounds of rib, and I was like, I still got quite a lot of yarn left. So I ended up doing 40 rounds of rib to make it 100 rounds in total. So it's 60 rounds of stocking stitch, 40 rounds of rib, and then I unpicked this waste yarn, and I knitted the Afterthought heel, which looks a bit weird on here, but it looks great on my feet with like a round shaping. So yeah, I've left the stitch marks in place just in case I need to double check my counting. So my second sock I cast on over the weekend, Sunday, Monday. I knitted a lot of these on last weekend when I was in Norway. My aunt and uncle came for a visit on last Saturday, I think, for lunch, when I was in Norway with my parents. And I was wearing, the other project I'm knitting has got mohair in it, and I was wearing black tops, so I didn't want to knit with mohair and get it covered in pink and green mohair. So I was knitting a lot on these on Saturday, and then I think I finished them on Sunday and cast on for the other one, which I didn't knit on that much till I started travelling home. And then I knitted, I didn't knit all this on the way home. I probably got to about there on the way home, I can't remember, but I've been knitting on them since I got home as well. So I got quite far. That's, can you see there, that yellow yarn, that's the waste yarn for the Afterthought heel. I use this nylon thread, which is called, it's something that machine knitters use, it's called Ripcord or something like that. I can't know, I think it's something else, can't remember. Anyway, the toe, now I'm not sure that this is like matching 100%. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, yeah, I think it's pretty much matching. I wasn't sure whether it was like perfectly matched, but it's pretty much perfectly matched, so that's good. I have got 13 rounds of rib left to do, and the Afterthought heel, so I think I will just go ahead and finish these today. I did a bit on them yesterday. We were in Plymouth for a while, so I sat in the coffee shop for a while knitting, and then I knitted on them yesterday evening. So I'm quite close to finishing them now, so I think I'll just go ahead and finish those before I knit on anything else, just because they're so close to being done. I might as well just get them done. Okay, so let's look at what I actually purchased in Norway. So the first thing I did was pop down after I finished this, which I finished in like 3 days. I then carried on with my purple socks and finished those quite quickly. And then I was like, I need another main project. So I popped down to one of my parents' local yarn shops. There are 2 locally to where they live. I popped down to one of them and I got some yarn. So let me show you the yarn first. I didn't really know what to get, so I went to have a look and I got these 2. I rewound them. I don't actually have the labels here. I don't know what I've done with the labels, but I rewound them because they were in like normal kind of balls. I don't have any here I can show you, but like the stuff that most yarn companies come in, and I find them quite big and bulky to like knit from, so I always rewind them. I think I've left the labels downstairs, but I think this is Sandnes Garn, which is a Norwegian yarn company, and I think it's their Wednesday base. It's a 4-ply yarn. I really like those 2 colours together. And then they had the matching in the mohair base, mohair and silk, I think this is. So I picked up those. Now I'm not a huge fan of mohair. I like the look of it, and it's very popular, been very popular in the last few years, but as the whole time I've been knitting at this, I've been thinking, do I really want to knit it with mohair? Especially because I wear a lot of black and then I end up getting covered in mohair. But I wanted to knit a brioche shawl because that was shaped, because I've only done brioche rectangle shawls, so I wanted to do something with a bit more shaping, just to that's like the next step up for me in designing brioche, really. So I am knitting a sideways asymmetrical shawl. I started up here with the pink as the main color, and then I flipped it to the green as the main color. I'm holding 1 strand of mohair and 1 strand of the Wednesday base, I think it is, together. Wednesday, I think, is a merino base. Then I'm doing these sawtooth edgings, so it's going to be quite a long, elongated, asymmetrical shawl. There may be some other patterning towards the end. I haven't quite decided yet. I didn't really plan this that much. It was just like, let's cast on and see if I can work this out. So I'm enjoying it. I think the yarn, the 4-ply yarn, I think it's like 200 and something meters per 50 grams. So it's not going to be huge. I may afterwards re-knit it in Manos Uruguay Fino, but I haven't decided yet. So I need to get back to working on this, and I need to write up the pattern, because at the moment the pattern is just like notes like that in my notebook, and that's going to end badly, which is why I'll probably re-knit it in a different yarn, or ask one of my sample knitters to re-knit it. I visited a yarn shop in a town called Ski, which is halfway between where my parents live and Oslo, and I didn't really see anything that I desperately wanted to buy there, but I felt like I should buy something. Oh, I also bought this. I think I got this in my parents' local yarn shop. So these are like the try-on cords. They're tubing. I got another pack of this, but I find them really useful, and I haven't seen these like just big packs of these. Some indie dyes are selling them, some yarn shops are selling them, quite often like 1 or 2 lengths of it in like a pretty tin. I can see if I can pull one out. In Norway, quite a few yarn shops sell this just kind of like big bundle, and they're quite useful. And it'd be quite useful if I had to send something half done to like one of my sample knitters or something. I could just like extend it, put it on one of these cords, and then they can slip it back on the needles. So basically like a hollow tubing, I don't think you can see that, and you shove this onto one end of your needle and then you pull it through all your stitches. You have to be a bit careful so you don't pull this off and then your stitches end up loose. So your stitches are then sitting on this, and then when you want to put them back on your knitting needle, you can just push this onto the end of your knitting needle and pull it back on. So I really like them, they're really useful, and I have a pack of these that I bought last year in Norway, or 2 years ago, I can't remember, another time in Norway. But I do find them, that's really annoying, isn't it? Like plasticky sand, but I find them really useful. These are from Sandnes Garn. I didn't realise that. This is on the back, Sandnes Garn, which I didn't realise that they're from Sandnes Garn. So I found those quite useful. And then in the yarn shop in Ski, which is called Nøstemett, I think, which is my Nøste is like a ball of yarn, so my ball of yarn, or my skein, I guess. I got some sock yarn because I felt like I ought to buy something. This is Lang Yarn, so it's a German yarn company, it's not Norwegian. It's Lang Yarns, and it's Super Socks Color 6-ply Superwash. So it's a little bit thicker, more closer to DK. I don't think it's quite DK, but it has 390 meters and it's 150 grams. So it's more the thickness of these socks that my mum made me. So I'm going to make some socks with those. I don't know whether they'll be for me or for my husband. I might see if he likes the color and knit them for him, because I haven't made him any thicker socks, and I do have like 3 pairs of the thicker DK socks now. But I bought that because, you know, I can always use some sock yarn. And then my mum and I went into Oslo one day, and we on the train, and we went to the new National Museum, which is very much worth a visit. You have to pay to get in. It's not that expensive. It's 200 kroner, which depending on the exchange rate probably works out something between like 18 and 20 pounds for an adult. Cheaper if you're over 60, 65, I'm not sure. And I think children might be free, but I can't remember. But it's open since the last time I was in Norway. It's a massive building and it's really ugly. It's just like a concrete block almost. It's not attractive at all, but it is really, really good. And it has 3 floors. The first 2 floors are huge, and we only looked around a fraction of them. We were only there for 2 hours. You could spend all day there. You could probably spend several days there. But we spent 2 hours there because that was enough for us. And there was a collection of dresses, many of them from the royal family in Norway. Queen Maud's coronation dress. Queen Maud was the grandmother of the current king, I think, and she was British born. So I guess she was one of Queen Victoria's children or grandchildren, I'm not sure. And then you had the current queen, Queen Sonja. It had her. It wasn't a coronation dress because they didn't have a coronation, but they had some kind of like blessing or other type of service. So it had that and quite a few other kind of royal dresses. So that was quite interesting to look at. And they had some other fashion and dresses and things as well. So here's a little clip from that exhibition. And then on the top floor it had like a special limited time period exhibition by Grayson Perry. So if you don't know, Grayson Perry is a British artist who I would say his work is quite political. If you don't know about the British class system and politics, it may not make much sense, but I really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot more about him in the last couple of years watching. He had a very popular program on British television since the start of the pandemic called Art Club, I think it was, something like that, which we were watching. So I kind of got to know more about him through that, and I really enjoyed the exhibition. And then after the exhibition, we got the tram. Well, we went and got some lunch, and then we got the tram to a shop called Fruquist, which is a yarn shop. I've been to it before. They've only moved across the road, so not very far, but they're right in the centre of Oslo, near the department store called Sten & Strøm, which is where I used to work for a year when I was a teenager. So we went to Fruquist, and I wasn't sure. I wanted to buy something there. They have big selection. They have gifts and like non-knitting stuff as well, but it's mostly yarn and knitting, but they do have some other things as well. But I have some Knitting for Olive in my stash. Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. It's a Danish yarn company. So I picked up these two because I think it will go with the yarn I already have. Because the local yarn shop where my parents live, one of them stocked Knitting for Olive, I think. And I was thinking on the last day to pop down there and just have a look. And if they had this, maybe get a couple more balls. But then I packed my suitcase and I really struggled to shut it. And I had to sit on it and kneel on it, and I still couldn't shut it. So I thought, and I also had to put the clothes I was wearing that day in my suitcase. So I thought, no, I cannot buy any more yarn because it will not be coming home with me. Anyway, this I just noticed is quite similar to that colour. Anyway, I think I've got like 2 blue and a grey, or 2 grey and a blue. So I thought I might try and combine it. It has, I think it's 250 meters per 50 grams. So if I got 5 balls, that's 1,250 grams. That should knit me something quite big. I might have a look and see if I can do like a lace t-shirt for summer. But I need to pull the other balls out and see exactly what I've got and then think about it. But I don't want to just put this in my stash. I do actually want to knit this up this year. It is available from retailers in the UK. I checked on the web. I just had a quick Google while I was in Norway, and I know Beautiful Knitters in London sell this. They're in Pimlico in London. They have an online shop as well. There's probably other places in the UK that now sell Knitting for Olive. So if I want to get some more of this, I can get some more of this. It is slightly cheaper in Norway. Depending on the exchange rate, I think I paid £1 less per ball of this of what it is at Beautiful Knitters. But if I go to Norway later this year, which I definitely will, I might get some more if I haven't already knitted with it. But I definitely want to do like a summer t-shirt top for myself with this. So that's the plan for that. And then this isn't really something I bought in Norway, but it's something I ordered and had it shipped to Norway. And I left it in the packaging it came in. A couple of things in here. Apologies for the like rustling, but it's wrapped in plastic. It's basically like a purse frame like that. And I got 2 of them. And they, the other one is in just a big one. I'm not going to take it out, but they're basically designed for Petite Knits Teddy Clutch and Winter Clutch, I think it's called. So this is the Teddy Clutch. So she does them in 2 sizes, small and large, and she does like the frames for them to open them up and the lining. So I ordered the frames for both of them, and I ordered the lining for both of them because I wasn't sure what I wanted to make, and it wasn't that expensive, and I thought if I'm ordering it and getting it shipped to my parents, I might as well get both. If I had it shipped here, I was worried I would have to pay customs fees. So I got it shipped to my parents because then I thought I won't have to pay customs fees. But I actually ordered the, I think it's called the Winter Clutch. which is for the smallest size. So that is, hang on, what do I do with that? Oh, that's for this one. So that's for like that size. And then the winter clutch is like that one. And that's the winter clutch apron. So I need to actually look at the yarn and things like that. And then, so I got the, like the frame thing to open it, which is for the rustling. And then I also got, she does like lining ready sewn, so it's all sewn together, so you can just, I guess, just slot it in and stitch it around the top by hand. And because I'm not brilliant at sewing, I thought that was quite, because it wasn't that expensive, I thought that's quite good. So I got the one for the small size and for the large size. So this is for the small winter or teddy clutch, and this is for the large. This is just the teddy clutch, this is the large. Then it also comes with like a petite knits label. The one that was in the other bag dropped on the floor when I opened it. So I don't know when I'm going to knit that. I got the winter clutch pattern, and I don't know whether I might do the small winter clutch and the large teddy clutch. But I need to look at what yarn's needed and see if I can use yarn from stash, or I don't need to buy anything. The winter clutch is like boucle yarn, I think. Don't know how you see this to see. So I may need to get some of that because I don't have any of that. So I'm sitting at Oslo Airport. Oslo Airport international departures are kind of split in two areas. One area for within the Schengen zone, which is most of the EU and most of Europe, and one for outside the Schengen zone, which is the UK, Ireland, maybe, I think, I'm not sure, and placed outside of Europe or outside the EU. So it's not that busy, although there are some people very noisy walking past. But I basically found a gate that is not in use. So I've sat down here. It's next to the gate where I'm going to, but they have like sort of little, I don't know if you can see, but it's like little rooms almost for each gate. And the gate that I'm leaving from is quite busy, and it's just behind the camera. And this is fairly quiet, so I thought I'd sit down here and do a bit of knitting. I got an hour till my plane is due to leave, but it is the incoming flight from London is currently 10 minutes delayed. I know from experience that the plane comes from London, Stansted, and turns around in Oslo and then goes back to London. So I checked the incoming arrivals from Stansted, and it's currently 10 minutes late. Most of the planes that are departing seem to be late. It's really thick fog, so I'll flip you around. It's really, really thick fog today. That's the gate I'm leaving from, so I can sit here and see the plane get in, and then when the plane gets in, I'll just pick up my stuff and walk around to the next gate. I've got priority boarding, but I really don't fancy queuing up, because what they do is they make you queue up, check your passport, and then they make you queue through that tunnel. And I hate that, because it means usually standing for a long time, and if the plane's delayed, they quite often leave you standing there for like half an hour or so. People coming off the plane go upstairs, the top level there. People getting on the plane go on the bottom level. So I don't really want to be standing there for half an hour. That's happened before, and I'm not doing that. So I tend to actually sit by the gate area and wait till I can see people actually starting to get on the plane. And then I go up and join the priority queue. I have a seat booked, and it's right at the front of the plane, so it's not that big a deal. And because I have a seat booked and I've got priority, I'm guaranteed to get my little suitcase on board. So I'm going to get my knitting out and do some knitting while I watch the planes. There's a plane, I don't know whether you can see it over there, I think it's Swiss Air. There are some very loud, drunk people around, so I just hope they're not on my flight, but they probably are, because I don't think there's any other non-Schengen flights leaving at the moment. So yeah, very foggy, so I just hope you don't have too much delay. I do have quite a bit of time when I get to London. If my plane's on time, then I have like 5 hours till my train leaves from Paddington. So I've done quite a bit of knitting this morning. I'm halfway up the foot. I've done 25 rounds while I was having breakfast. I've just seen the crew, the boarding team, I guess. the gate crew go past, and they have the little Ryanair like bag size of thing with them. They were wheeling it down. I found Ryanair haven't been that strict for the last few years when it comes to hand luggage if you've paid for priority. I found I can get quite, my suitcase and decent size second soft bag. I normally take a tote bag with me, but this time, because I'm using public transport, I took a backpack, and I think it might be like a little bit too big. So I bought some stuff in duty free, just some hand creams, and I made sure I paid for a carrier bag, because you're allowed to carry on a duty free carrier bag with you. And then I put my knitting in there and my cowl, because it's too hot to wear my big brioche cowl at the airport. And I've taken my jumper out of my rucksack, and I was wearing it earlier because it was a bit chilly where I was sitting, but I've tied that around my waist at the moment, and I might put it on before I get on the plane. And then I think I might take one more water bottles out and put it in my carrier bag, and maybe a couple other things, just so that my backpack doesn't look too heavy. I've done this before, put stuff in my carrier bag. That should have been in my handbag or something. As long as you bought some stuff that's on top. So normally what I do is I put all my personal belongings at the bottom, and I put the stuff I buy on top, so that it looks like I bought something. They're not going to go through everything in your carrier bag unless they're really pathetic. But if the plane's late, they don't want to get us on the plane and off as quickly as possible. So I just hope I don't have any problems with my hand luggage. I was really worried about security, because I did have to kneel on my suitcase last night to shut it, and then after I packed it, then had to put the top and the underwear I was wearing yesterday in my suitcase, and I really struggled to get that in. And then this morning I just opened it to literally squeeze my toothbrush in there, and I did struggle to close it again. So and also put my socks in there that I wore last night in bed, because I wear socks every night. So I thought, if they open my suitcase, I'm going to cry at security, because I don't know if I'll be able to shut it again. And I do not want to be there sitting on the floor, kneeling on my suitcase, getting all hot and bothered, stressing. So when I went through security this morning, they kind of held my suitcase. It kind of stopped after it gone through the x-ray machine, and I just stood there holding my breath till it was passed through to me. And then my backpack actually got pulled aside for a further look. They didn't open it, they just had a look at the x-ray thing, and then they passed it on. Probably because I got knitting needles, and I got a couple of pairs of scissors in there and things like that, so it's probably that. Oh, and I got my makeup in there as well, so they're probably just checking I didn't have liquids in there. And I have 2 water bottles that are empty, so they might have been just checking stuff like that. So very relieved, because I did not fancy repacking my suitcase. That's happened before in Bristol. They made me, they took everything out of my suitcase once, and they just gave me all my belongings back in the tray, and I had to go and repack it. And they also lost some of my stuff, so that was annoying. Anyway, I'm going to go because there's people coming, so I will chat to you later. So I don't know if you can hear me. I have arrived in London. I got to Paddington Station. I got something to eat, and then I thought I'd just go for a walk. So I've come to the edge of Hyde Park, because it's bright and sunny, as you can see over there. And I just wanted a bit of fresh air, because I had 3 hours to wait for my train. So I've just walked to the edge of Hyde Park after having lunch. Can you see that? There's some kids on ponies. There's obviously a riding school nearby, and I've somebody who used to work as a riding instructor in Cornwall, which is very rural for those who don't know. I find it amazing that you can take kids on horses in central London. They just came down the road behind me, so they were going on quite busy roads before they came into the park. I just found that amazing. There's some more horses over there on the other side, but I don't think you can see those. Anyway, I thought I'd come into the edge of Hyde Park. I'm not going to go any further, not that much time. I need to get back to the station. I want to get back to like an hour before my train, just so I got time to go to the loo, buy some snacks and drinks to take on the train with me. But I found a bench here and it's sunny and it's not that cold compared to Norway. So I thought, I mean, I am right next to the road, so it's not that nice, but it's better than sitting in a station. So I thought I'd just sit here, get my knitting out, listen to a podcast and just chill for a few minutes, half an hour or so before I head back to the station and wait for my train. So I think that is it for this episode. Thank you for sticking with me for this quite a long episode. Don't know how long it's going to be when I edit it all together, but I think it's going to be quite long. So thank you for sticking with me through all of this. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. And if you like this video, leave it a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Ask any questions you have. And next week I've got a video coming up on Tuesday, I think. Where I put together this Coconuts craft tote, which I talked about in my start of my Vlogmas series before in December. I was going to try and do this as one of my Vlogmas projects, and it never happened. But I did put it together a few weeks ago and I did film it, so that is coming up next week. I'm not sure this Tuesday or Thursday. I think it's Tuesday is coming up. So do watch out for that, and then there might be another video next week on the next issue of Knitting Magazine is due out soon. So I need to double check when it's due out, but there might be a video on the next design I have, which I don't know if I can give you a little sneak peek. It came back while I was away and it's on my desk. And can I give you a little sneak peek? Okay. So that's what I'm going to show you, but I'm quite excited about it. This was one, I don't think I've seen it before. I got a feeling we did this last year when I was away, and I think my sample knitter knitted it, and she may have shipped it off to the magazine without me seeing it, which I don't normally do because I like to make sure that everything's okay, but my sample knitters are brilliant. So I'm going to film a video on this, so that might be out next week. I need to check when the magazine's coming out because I can't release the video till the magazine's out. But there will be another video next week if not. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you next time.